Okay, so I took this class because I never have any conceptual ideas in any of my projects. They're mostly driven off tectonics and the construction of my models and drawings. So I try to take this class so I could think in a more conceptual, detailed sense, driving my projects from concept, not just tectonic construction. And I think to this point it's been a failure because everything I produced to this moment is still what I already know and I could have done without the movie and without the class. And I think this purely represents it. I mean, this model is supposed to be a field that represents the dad. And then I originally was just gonna put these images on in a different layer, but then after I brought the Morphosis paper to school the other day, you asked me if that's what I was gonna do with my model, so I began to think about it differently, and I decided that I was gonna make it more spatial. So these two pieces represent each of the kids, and it's like the dad is trying to weave them into his, existence, and there's a huge tension and a different language between the dad and the existing kids. And I wanted to include more specific image information, but it was a failure. It didn't have the same language of what was already existing on my model, and it didn't look good, so I didn't put it in.
Okay. Why do you think your model looks much better from the back?
I think because it's all, I always just go crazy with the construction and tectonics and, the lines. I think it's a lot more muted on the backside.
Okay.
So it just has, a more just calm tone to it on the back,
But it's highly mysterious from the back. There is a very interesting sense of transparency and layeredness.
And I think half the reason I don't like it so much is because this sticky back on the backside is not really, apparent from the front side. All it is like just one single tone. You can't see the details in the sticky back that I put on it.
I think one thing that really can help you is to hide some of this information. Probably you don't need to extract the pieces, but if you start to hide certain moments here and make this information be hidden beyond some layers, I think the quality on the back of layeredness and translucency would come into play here on the front, and then because of the image information, the narrative content will be more energized. Right? You have certain layeredness here, and your section is highly interesting because it's woven very intensely, and John at some point takes the section as well. But I think what happens is that the pieces on top of the image information are not really hiding very well.
Yeah.
Right? So we sort of see the image as a whole.
I originally intended on frosting the whole front piece and just revealing it at these points to make it look more intense, but then, the score lines took over, and I literally just did not have enough time to peel all these pieces off to start frosting it.
But I think what's happening here is, again, similar to Stella's. There's a logical construction, and I'm not sure whether you could do this right away, because there are certain moments here that sort of forces you to think about the image information more, and maybe that's how the section is starting to be activated, and maybe you're going beyond your habitual ways of making in that sense, okay, which is again, and then the overall construct is much more narratively charged from the back again, and then compared to Andres' or Mary's, I think you're sort of coming or finding a midway between how the tectonic logic and the narrative component could sort of start to act together. So, see, it wasn't that difficult. Okay. Do you know any other languages than English?
No, I don't know any other languages. I know complaining, that's about it.
Complaining?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can complain about this model.
Questions? Would you guys agree this model looks much better from the back?
And you're saying it because there's is it hiding more information? Is it too much information showing up front?
No,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
useless.
just the sense
It's
of
more muted,
sense of layeredness is not really good here.
Okay.
You read a lot, you also see the intention of hiding the image behind layers, but because it's so transparent, it's not hidden, right?
Okay.
And on the back there's more mystery because of the higher level of translucency or opaqueness. And Lauren, you still have some minutes to fill,
well, if I could do this model again, I would definitely make it, you know, less opaque in the layers and make it more systematically constructed, because right now, like, the structure of the actual model is not, like, holding it, you know, it's really flimsy. Pieces are just, like, glued on for sake of time. And I would like to incorporate the structure more into the folded planes that come through, you know.
I
And
think at this point I'll suggest you continue working with this model and frost more pieces on the front face, as you call it.
because the original intention was to just reveal, like, the intensity in some points, but it just didn't happen. So.
And some of the information, image information, could be also extended by maybe cuts and incisions, so that they kind of explode the image.
Did you notice that I made it 3 inches thick?
I did not. So it's 3 inches thick. Okay.
Yeah, it's 3 inches thick.
Very nice. You still have 1 more minute to go.
1 more minute. Torture.
Torture.
Well, I'm glad that this project's over, and I hope we don't have to deal with the return anymore.
The movie,
No more return. No return.
no more
for
return,
return.
no more movie. That wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't that bad, but it's just, I don't know.
Too much thinking.
It's no, it's not too much thinking. It's just I wish that like my thinking could be driven off of something that I'm more interested in, because from the second we started that movie, I mean, I was watching that movie like, what am I watching right now? What is this?
What would you prefer to watch?
I don't know, but
What's your favorite movie?
So much movie.
Oh no.
Rear window.
Okay. Alright, stop. Cut.